Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Game Hub. I'm your host Gamer K. New month has come, May is finally here, spring times are coming, and unfortunately for people who are living in Windsor, that means it's going to be gloomy and rainy for the next couple days. But let's get rid of that gloom with a good video. Another DLC review coming out, and much like the last one, it's going to be Batman themed. Hence, my Batman villain shirt. This one is definitely villain oriented. While I'm never going to do the Harley Quinn's Revenge DLC from Arkham City, and Arkham Asylum didn't have any DLCs except for playing as the Joker for challenges, and I'm not going to be doing the epilogue missions from the Arkham Knight game because, let's face it, those are all like 10 minutes, and they all suck. Except playing as Catwoman, which is always fun. But nope. I'm diving in to the Season of Infamy DLC. Now, a little background on this DLC. This DLC came out on December 22nd of 2015, so about 2 months after the game's initial launch. And I gotta say, this is one of the better DLCs I played. It doesn't give you missions after you beat the game, or... I mean, it kind of does, depending on what you do. So, once you download this game... Once you download the Season of Infamy, it will be uploaded into the game. So once you hit a certain point in the game, you'll get a notice that it's been unlocked, and you'll get character characters telling you what villains are going on, what's going on where, and it's pretty much in-game. It adds in-game missions, so it's not after the mission, after the story, or before the story. It's directly during the story, which I love missions like that. It gives you a little extra sense of quests to do, and it's excruciatingly fun. So yeah, during gameplay this comes out, so we get 4 different missions to choose from. We get Wonderland, Shadow War, Beneath the Surface, and In From the Cold. Now all 4 won't be unlocked immediately, but as you progress through the game. So for Wonderland, it will be unlocked once you've gotten 24% of the crime of all the missions complete. So main missions and all the other missions, once you get 24% complete. This is mostly in the main story, because as the story progresses, these will unlock. So let's start off with Wonderland, considering it's the first one that's unlocked. So Wonderland, pretty much, you get a call from Aaron Cash telling you that Jervis Tetch, aka the Mad Hatter, for people who don't know the Batman villains' real names, he's at this police station and wants to talk to Batman. Now, we haven't seen Jervis since Arkham City, and we've seen him in Arkham Origins. Although, I did love all of Jervis's missions in Arkham Origins. This is where we officially meet him. And yeah, it's a fun, bizarre, different, mind-bending Wonderland-ish level, which I loved. In Arkham City, it's kind of lower key. We're drugged, and then we're brought back to his Mad Tea Party, where we pretty much got to fight all the beings while wearing a rabbit bat mask. And it looks, I love how they did Jervis's missions. They put you through a different world, kind of, like it's all happening in our minds. Again, like Scarecrow used to do in Arkham Asylum. And I do love what they did with this one. So basically what happens is that Jervis tells us that he's kidnapped 3 cops, and we need to find them. Giving us... And I love it that every time he speaks, he's always rhyming. It definitely speaks to the Mad Hatter motif that he's always been doing. And I love that they stuck with that in this game. It just completes the character arc. So as to finding them, we have to listen for a siren call. Now he minces words, but we find police cars in 3 areas in Gotham. So pretty much, once you find them, you have to fight off a couple enemies. You have to defuse a bomb by doing a kind of a puzzle minigame with the decoder. The decoder's not used as much in this game, sadly, except for unlocking doors and doing puzzles for Riddler, which are okay, I guess. But continuing on, after we find the 3rd victim, we find a book that says Batman's Adventures in Wonderland. So we bring it back to Jervis, we open up the book, and then we go into that psychedelic mind-bending area again, where we have to fight a whole bunch of enemies in the book. And it tells pretty much the story of Arkham, or of Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and then to where we are in Arkham Knight. Sadly, it doesn't work. Sadly, Arkham Origins isn't mentioned that well. I mean, it is mentioned, but because it was done by a different company, but I'm pretty sure it still develops into the game. So afterwards, we lock up Jervis in the special holding cell that's unlocked. Once we download this DLC, an extra area behind the holding cell will open up for the more advanced, or for the new villains that are getting imprisoned here. Okay, so Wonderland. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, every single side mission has 3 missions. That's it. I mean, that's not much, but the length of it and the fact that that you can choose to do these in order, or you can do these missions and then go back to do them. That's what I love about this game, is that you can do the missions anytime you want. You can do them at any point in any order. It doesn't affect your gameplay. So as far as Wonderland goes, it's the first one to go. It's not that much enjoyable, but having to hear Jervis Tetch speak is fun in and of itself. So I personally like it. Out of 10, I'm going to give Wonderland a 5. It's not that great of a side mission, but it does what it can with the villain that's the main focus. Next is Shadow War, which comes in after you complete 27% of the main storyline, so not far after you complete Wonderland. This one has to do with the League of Shadows, as we find two factions who are fighting against each other. So basically what happens is we find them, we follow a blood trail, and it leads us. I'm not going to give so much away for people who haven't played this and who will want to play this later, hopefully after watching this review. So basically we find out that Ra's al Ghul isn't dead. For those of you who remember Arkham City, he fell and got impaled, but after completing the game, you go back to that area and you find out his body's not there anymore. So we always assumed that the League of Assassins was gonna come back and bring him back. So he gives us this task to find a little bit more of the Lazarus water, but we are stopped by Nyssa, who is Ra's second daughter. She makes more of an appearance in the TV show Arrow than ever before. I don't really see a point to this mission, because a majority of them are pretty much, there's not much going on. It doesn't develop any more story, other than Nyssa's contempt for Batman and how her father loved Talia better. And it doesn't really bring up much with Talia and Batman's relationship at all. It just kind of fills in a couple voids in this family squabble. Now, the problem I find with this one is the second mission is really fun. You use the sonar in the Batmobile to find the Lazarus water. I mean, I discovered it by accident while doing one of those chasing the militia's van mission. I found it by accident, so I got lucky. So, yeah, the missions aren't really that lengthy for the Shadow War mission. And also, I find the choice between giving Ra's the cure or not giving it to him, one of them just lets him live. The other one, he actually gets put into our prison cell. I don't understand why they even gave you a choice. It's the same thing with the Azrael missions. Why choose to attack Batman or not do it? It makes no sense. Just lock him up. I don't like Batman Arkham Knight did not need choices in this game. It definitely did not need choices, because no other part of the game gives you choices. So why have them if you're not going to fully go through with them? And plus, they don't even amount to anything special. That's why I always lock them up. I don't care. I always lock them up. So, Shadow War, it's got a good premise, but the execution of this DLC, of this mission, was very underperformed. So I'm giving Shadow War a 4 out of 10. It's slightly below Wonderland, mainly because, yeah, Wonderland didn't have that much going for it either, but at least it gave you a sense of, excuse the pun here, wonderment about that mission. Shadow War just seems something empty that could have just been left on the back burner in favor of a better villain. Like, they could have done something with Black Mask if they wanted to. It could have been cool. I mean, yeah, we find out Black Mask dies during the Red Hood DLC, but yeah, they could have done something there, or have Bane. Bane was in in the first 3 games. Why didn't he make a return here? That would have been a much better Season of Infamy edition. We could have found Bane, finally put an end to his drug addiction, and put him in jail for good. It would have worked. Because, for one thing, he was already in the other games. Why not? Makes no sense. Next we get Beneath the Surface, which is my favorite one of the Season of Infamy DLCs. This one comes after you complete 34% of the game, of the main game. This one is very, very cool of how it adds an extra location. So we see the Iron Heights prison blimp goes down, and because we find out later on. And also, hit by a blimp, it kills over 1 Americans every year. If you know where that reference is from, good on you. You're a good viewer. So pretty much we get called out into the Iron Heights blimp, prison blimp. It's pretty much a prison blimp. I'm sorry. Just the shape of it, it's a blimp. Don't call it a warship. It's a blimp. So it's pretty much submerged in water, and as we're rescuing the people in it, Killer Croc comes out, and he is freaking stunning. In the first Arkham game, I was scared shitless of his level because I don't like dark, creepy levels. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. He appeared as an Easter egg in Arkham City, and in Arkham Origins, we get to see him firsthand, where he looked more lizardish instead of crocodile. But then, as the evolution went, and he just looks even more beefy, completely no longer human. He's just this towering crocodile mutant, and I love it. I love the design. They even gave him a giant tail. He looks like if Mesogog from Power Rangers Dino Thunder had a giant monster form. Oh my god, I love the design so much. It's basically Animal Instinct now and no longer human, basically. He still talks like a human, but he's more savage and less intelligent in this DLC. And we try to find out what's going on as he kidnaps the warden of the Iron Heights prison. Then we have to leave the blimp to find two of the workers who got ejected. So we're pretty much finding a game of hide and seek, and it's kind of fun. It takes us out of the blimp for a little bit, which is refreshing. So we don't have to complete the whole mission once we go into the blimp. We can leave, and then we can come back later on once we upgrade a little bit more. And considering this one has a boss battle with Croc, with Nightwing, mind you, you're going to want to level up your combat before you take on Croc. And, it's such a cool boss battle. Just seeing him crawl on all fours like the crocodile he's named after. And it's just so creepy. And it's beautifully executed, having the double takedown attacks with Nightwing. And it works. I'm not going to give too much away about the story of it, but it's pretty... You feel sorry for Croc a little bit. But at the end, we finally get to put him in a giant cell, and I love this mission so much. And that is why Beneath the Surface is the only DLC mission to get an 8 out of 10. It doesn't get a huge, because it's still only 3 missions, but it gets higher because of the suspense it creates. Its new environment, which isn't that much new, but it still gives us something new to enjoy and interact with. And plus, the boss battle is hard as hell. I've died a couple times on it, and that's what I want. I don't want an easy boss battle where I have to beat it the first time. I want to die a couple times and progress my patience of how long I can go for. Finally, we have In From the Cold, which is my... I'm going to say this, I kind of lied when I said that Beneath the Surface is getting an 8 out of 10 on this. It still gets an 8, but this one is almost there too. In From the Cold comes in after you complete 60% of the main game. 60%, so almost halfway done the game. We get a distress call that a giant ship is in the... I can't remember what area of Gotham. Probably Miyagani Island, I believe, because everything happens on Miyagani Island for some reason. So we find the ship, we find a whole bunch of the militia, and depending if you've beaten the game, or depending on how far you've gotten to the game, either the Arkham Knight or Deathstroke will be commanding the troops there. So it's pretty much another shadow takedown section, which I loved, because I love those sections. It lets me plan out my strategy of attack, and I always try to go and not get noticed even once. I love doing that. So pretty much for this one, we find Victor Freeze, and the suit looks as badass as it did in Arkham City. So Freeze isn't a villain in this one. Again, he's never the villain. But we find out that the Arkham Knight has taken Nora, so we need to find her again. And we're finally seeing Nora again. And I love how Batman and Freeze have this kind of trust with each other. And I love that development. In this mission DLC, it goes even farther of how much of an understanding they have. Once we find Nora Freeze, we unfreeze her, and we finally get to see her, and she is a gorgeous character sculpt. I love the sculpt. I love the red hair. I love how she looks. I mean, obviously, he froze her when she was years ago, so she still has her youth, and I love how it looks. And then the final mission of this DLC is phenomenal. We have Nora Freeze in the back seat of our Batmobile, and we're using the tank battle against the militia. All the choppers, all the tanks are coming in. We fight them off. And then in the final, Victor Freeze detonates his research in order to destroy the militia. And he vows to still find a cure for Nora, but she tells him in the end that we never had much time for us, so whatever time they have left, do it together. And I almost cried at that moment, because anything with Victor or Nora Freeze, I mean, except in Gotham, because it doesn't go well in the end, it always warms, this cold couple warms my heart every minute, every time they're on screen, because it's so beautiful. And yeah, In From the Cold gets an 8 out of 10 as well. It matches Beneath the Surface because of how amazing the DLC is. It doesn't just put you into a position, and what I mean by that, it doesn't just put you in the position of these characters, because if you know the story, if you know their tragedy, if you know everything about these characters, then it hits you all the more harder. And that's why I think you got to play throughout all the games to see the devotion Freeze has to his wife. And I love that about the character, because that's what, whenever I do my top 13 animated couples, Victor and Nora Freeze are going to be on it, even though we don't see them together ever. They'll probably still be on the list. I mean, if nothing changes, pretty much. But yeah, pretty much all 4 DLCs, 5, 4, 8, and 8. That's pretty much that's pretty good in comparison to other DLCs. Now, the original price for this DLC was $9.99, so it wasn't a full price DLC, which I was happy for, because I wasn't spending $16 for these 4 missions that are only for these 4 extra missions, which are 3 missions each. And I double checked my math. So if you want to do this from the start again, like restart the game and complete it all while going through the game. The Season of Infamy DLC adds at most an extra 2.5 hours of mission gameplay, which isn't much, but it does better than some other DLCs that I will mention next month, because oh boy, do I have a grudge for bad DLCs. Also, one thing I'm going to complain about this is no Joker. Like, even if you restart the game, and you know when, as you progress through the game, Joker will always have a sly comment, and when you put the prisoner away, he also has more comments? For some reason, that doesn't happen. Like, what the hell? I mean, yeah, it was done after the game was released, but you could have had Mark Hamill come on in and do more voiceover for Joker. It would have been great. Him making fun of Jervis Tetch, having him kind of say, oh, your future, like, for Ra's al Ghul, if you imprison him, well, looks like you sided with the sister-in-law than your father-in-law. Oh, Talia would have been so happy. Oops. Sorry. That would have been funny. It would have been great. And throughout each mission, he would also have some comments throughout after you do each mission. I could just imagine what he would say about Croc or Victor. That would have been great. Like, am I the only one thinking that Croc, old boy, would make one hell of a handbag for Harley? And for Victor Freeze, you think they'll go on a tropical honeymoon? Well, they definitely have a refrigerator for him. I mean, come on! The main reason I mean, a lot of people probably didn't like Arkham Knight. A lot of people didn't for some reason. I don't know why. I thought it was a fantastic finale. But Joker was one of the main reasons I loved this game, because of his clever quips with Batman throughout the game and the side missions. It just feels underutilized in this DLC because he wasn't added. Even if you beat the game and you do these missions, you can always restart it and hear his comments. But they didn't do that here. For that reason, my rating for the DLC as a whole goes down a little bit. So let's see. Let's see. I covered every single mission. I covered the time period it adds, the original price, and my negative criticism about not having Joker involved with this DLC, which sucks. So, on average, I'm being a little generous because of how cheap this DLC was, and it didn't grind you for money. The Season of Infamy Most Wanted DLC gets an 8 out of 10 and a must-play for anyone who hasn't played this DLC yet. If you have the Arkham Knight game, I urge you to download this DLC. It's fun. It adds an extra 2.5 hours of missions, and it will improve your, well, it doesn't improve, but it prolongs your enjoyment of the final saga of the Arkham series. Well, that was my first video for the month of May, and boy, this one was really fun. Coming up next week, a virus is among us, and let's talk about all the creepy creatures he has created. For those of you who know Code Lyoko, join in with me next week. This has been Gamer K, logging out.